Hello, folks, people of the internet, YouTubers, social media addicts. So today's video is about this LG washing machine. As you can see here, I've got a LG washing machine pair, and this particular washer, the dryer is working fine, but this washer has an issue. And the issue is that it shakes all over the place. And originally, I was under the impression that the 4 feet that are down at the bottom are broken. Maybe one of them is stripped out because they screw in. But what I'm realizing now is it's not anything to do with the pedestal or anything to do with the way the ground, the floor is. Everything's even, everything's great. I even put a little piece of wood, as you can see right there, to stabilize the washing machine. None of that helped. So a few days ago, I realized that I need to pay more attention to it, and I started watching it, and come to find out, it seems like the basket is shaking. And I've had many different washing machines. I've never had that issue before, so this was new to me, and so we are going to proceed to check things out. So you'll see in a minute here, I'm going to go ahead and turn this thing on, and I'll be right back, and I'll show you that during the spin cycle, it shakes. So what's interesting is as it's on the wash cycle, up here, you can see that it's on the wash cycle, it's fine. There's no shaking, everything is as normal, and it rotates. I think what ends up happening is as it spins faster and faster on the spin cycle, the stabilizer struts that are inside that hold the basket in place, either there's one or maybe they're all worn out. And you can hear that knocking. Okay, so in order to do these basket shock absorbers is what I'm calling them, the dampeners that hold the basket in place and keep it from wobbling, which obviously on my washing machine are messed up. What we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to go ahead and take off this top cover, and then we'll take off this panel, and then we'll take off this cover, and that exposes the front strut or shock absorber, and then there's 2 more in the back. So let's get started. Okay, so as you can see, I've got my first top cover pulled off. The way that this top cover pulls off is there is actually a mounting screw right here, and there's one right here, and there's one in the middle right up on the top. And once you get those 3 screws off, this one here, and this one right here, you slide it back. And it might be stuck if this is an old washing machine. So what I did was I put a screwdriver in here, a flathead, and just kind of pried it, and it pulls back. And then you just lift it up off the top. It basically comes off very easily once you slide it back. Next thing you're gonna wanna do is pull this tray out. This is your soap tray. It basically has a tab right here. I'm not going to do it one-handed, but it has a tab right here. As you're pulling, you push this tab and it comes out. Once you get this out, it allows you to pull this top panel off, which is the next step. Once you get that basket out, there's 2 screws. There's 1 screw right here and 1 screw right here that holds this back part of this basket in, as well as holds the cover in place. So as soon as you get those 2 screws off, and there's a couple of screws right here on the top, then you'll be able to pull this panel off. There's quite a few connectors that connect this electronics panel, and I don't want to mess with those connectors. You have to undo a lot of stuff behind this thing here, and I don't want to do that. So what I usually do is I just take it. There's enough slack in here where if you pull it through this hole, you'll be able to just lean it up over the top, because that's not going to get in the way. And then what we're going to do is we're going to release this screw, this one here, and this one here, and this one here. And then we're also going to do the bottom, where the pump is, the water pump, the evacuation water pump. We're going to pull the little rubber hose out, drain it into a bucket, And then we're going to go ahead and release the filter and release that whole mechanism. And there's one screw down there also that will prevent this from coming out. And so we'll do that next. So as you can see, this is what I was talking about. So this actually is a filter. This is where the motor is. If you've seen my other video, I replaced the motor on this particular washer. And what this motor does is when you're, right before your spin cycle, when your rinse cycle is done, this is the part that gets all the water back out of your clothes and back out of the washing machine. This filter gets clogged up. So there's another video separately that would show you how to unclog the filter. This motor gives up. I've replaced it twice already on this washing machine. And then this right here is your hose that is inside this clip. You pull it out, it's got a little stopper on the front, and you basically drain the water out. So that's what we're gonna do next. And you can see right here, there's a screw. This screw needs to be taken off so that the cover comes off. Okay, so in order to take this collar off, which you have to do to get this front panel off, there's a spring that holds it. It goes all the way around. If you look right here, and let me try to see if I can get you guys down in there, there's a spring right underneath there that basically is holding the whole collar in place. There's a special tool that you use, which is this tool right here, to pry that spring, open it up, and get that collar off, which is what I'm gonna do next. So this is basically what it looks like. This tool clips in on both sides of the spring. As you squeeze on the plier, it pulls it apart, and as you can see, it literally just falls right out. Once you get that spring off, what you want to do is to push this collar inside. So basically, you just go over here and you just lift up on it. It's rubbery and it's a little tight, but once you get it going, you just basically pull it out like this. And I'm doing this one-handed. If I was doing it two-handed, it'd be much faster, but just pull the collar out, go all the way around, just like that. So as you can see, I've got the full cover off. The only other thing that I was not able to capture as I was pulling this off is that you don't need to take off this actual filter in front of the motor. I checked on that before pulling the cover off, and it sits behind it. So you don't have to worry about that. That you could leave intact. And then the only other thing is right here, there's a switch on the door. When the door closes, there's this clip right here, and that clip basically plugs in, and all it is a tab. You just push it down and pull it out, and the cover comes off. So as you can see, this right here is the balancer or shock absorber that basically, or dampener, I guess is what they call it, that holds the basket in place. It's got one clip here, and it clips in right there. There's one right here. If you go over here to this other side, and you look past this hose, there's one right there. It clips in right there, clips into the basket right there, and then there's another one in the back. And we're gonna go ahead and proceed to take the back off now. As you can see, the back cover is this metal cover right here. It's got a few screws all the way around it, has two clips right here. So all we're gonna do is proceed to take this back cover off, and that will expose that third damper. Okay, so we've got that back cover off now. You can see this is the motor that's connected to the basket. It spins properly, there's no issues there. There's usually a bearing in here, and you can replace that bearing. It has similar symptoms, but if your basket is doing the pre-wash cycle correctly and not jumping around, then you know that this is good and you don't have to mess with it. Then you go and take that one out. So I showed you the front two. Here's the third one that's in the back. Here's the package of parts that I got. I ordered these from Amazon. I did not get the actual LG. These are a generic version of the same thing. I mean, it's a damper. I can't see it being that much less quality than LG. And at the end of the day, LG is also made in China, so this is made in China, so it's the same thing in my opinion. So I went ahead and bought it. You use your own judgment. There's 1,000 different ones out there from different companies. Again, all made in China. None of this stuff is made here or Canada or, you know, Japan or anything like that. So just use your judgment. I just went with the cheapest. I figured these have lasted 10. If these new ones last me at least 5 to 7 years, they've paid themselves off. Okay, so I'm not going to go through on video on how to replace these because I'm going to need to be doing it with both hands, but I am going to give you a little bit of instruction on how to do it. So this clip right here, this plastic clip that you see that's holding it in place, it basically spreads apart to stay in place. So you have to squeeze the front end as you tap it out. The only way that I know how to do that is to take a wrench that's a little bit smaller. In this case, it's a number 12. So if you take a 12 millimeter wrench and put it on there and then slightly tap it out with like a rubber mallet, it should just slide right out. And same thing for the top. So here we go. I basically did exactly what I told you. I put the number 12 on the front edge and used a rubber mallet and just pushed it right out, and it comes right out. So as you can see, I went ahead and got that pulled out. There's nothing here on the top, no clip at the bottom, and the damper is out. So here it is in my hand. As you can look and see, this thing is all rusted. So it has definitely gone past its age, and this is the problem. So I'm going to proceed to replace all 3 of these. I'm going to install the new one, and I'll come back to you. And here you go, the new one is in place. Got the clip put in right here, and got the top one put in right here. And as you can see, it's as good as new. I'm gonna do the other 2. Okay, so here we are again. I am now done. I've got them pulled out. I will tell you this, the back one is easy because there's plenty of room. There's nothing in the way. The front one, both of them, they're tough. So this one right here on this side, this one goes from here up to here, and there's no place for you to use a rubber mallet. It's just not enough room to be able to get leverage to bang it out of there. So I had to modify how I'm doing things. This is the first time I'm doing it on this type of machine, so I had to kind of revise my method. So originally I told you to take a rubber mallet and a number 12 and get that clip out. What I instead did is I used the number 12 in the back to squeeze the clip, okay? However, instead of using a rubber mallet to push it out, I pulled on the front of it with a grip plier. So basically, this type of a plier. Grab the front of it, and you have the number 12 in the back holding it, and then I pulled it out. And that made it much easier to get both sides out. This side right here, which remember, this is the side that has our filter on it, and our pump motor. There's pipes here. There's the in pipe coming in from the basket, and then the out pipe where it goes out. I had to disconnect both of those because otherwise you can't get back here. So as you can see, I moved the clip and took this off, and then I removed the clip on this one and took this one off of the back. And that gave me access to this particular damper. So just think about it carefully when you're doing this particular side is the toughest. This is the second one, and the back is easy. Okay, so we got the bottom on this one, the top on this one. Also got the bottom and top on this one. And so now I'm gonna go back through and just check everything and then start the reassembly. Okay, so we've started the test now. We've gone ahead and turned it on. We're doing a speed wash. Let's see how it goes. And folks, here we go. We're spinning, and as the time is passing, it's going to go faster and faster, and there's no shaking.